Okay, hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we're going to look at caching strategies on AWS. So going into the exam, you're going to need to know which services have caching capabilities. So first one is CloudFront, and we've covered off CloudFront. It obviously caches your media files, your videos, your pictures, etc. at edge locations near your end user. API Gateway also has caching functionality. We will cover API Gateway off in more detail in another section of the course, but just for the purposes of now, I just want you to remember that it does have caching capabilities. Elasticache, obviously, is a caching service, and it consists of either Memcached and Redis, so that has caching capabilities. And then DynamoDB Accelerator, or DAX, can also cache within DynamoDB, giving you much faster results. So I want you to take a look at a typical architecture. So we've got our user, and they're hitting CloudFront, and CloudFront is basically caching the origin. So the origin could be an S3 bucket, it could be EC2, it could be an application load balancer with EC2 instances behind it, it could be Route 53, etc., etc. So that is a very straightforward architecture of caching. Another more complicated one might be where you've got CloudFront. It's providing some caching capabilities. It then hits API Gateway, and like I said, we will cover this off in more detail later on in the course. An API Gateway is basically passing that request through to Lambda, and we cover this all off in this serverless section of the course. But essentially, a combination of API Gateway and Lambda is almost acting like as a web tier, essentially. And then Lambda can actually be looking at information from Elasticache. So this could be Memcached, or this could be Redis. And then it could also be pulling data from DynamoDB or RDS. So we have the capability to cache here, 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 and at Elasticache. And then if we're using DynamoDB Accelerator, we could also cache there. With RDS, we wouldn't be doing any kind of caching. And so the point of this diagram is to show you that the deeper you go through these steps, the more latency you're going to have. So if you can cache at the edge location at CloudFront, you're going to have way less latency. If you can then cache at API Gateway, you're still going to have less latency than going all the way down to the RDS or DynamoDB layer. So the more caching you put in front, the lower your latency is for your end user. And so that's it really. Going into your exam, just remember that caching is a balancing act between up-to-date, accurate information and latency. And we can use the following services to cache on AWS, so CloudFront, API Gateway, Elasticache, which is Memcached and Redis, as well as DynamoDB Accelerator. So that's it for this lecture, everyone. If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, feel free to move on to the next lecture. Thank you.